I think Jim Acosta is a disgrace to the profession because, as many of you probably know, he's a grandstander who's trying to build up a brand for himself, to enrich himself. He's not interested in the truth. He's not interested in asking legitimate questions or doing deep investigations. He's just a character. He's a cartoon character. Okay, why are my liberal friends messaging me on Facebook the other day saying, "Oh my God, Jim Acosta is so stupid. How the F?" This is why. Jim Acosta tweeted out the other day at about noon, "I found some steel slats on the border, but I don't see anything resembling a national emergency situation, at least not in the McAllen, Texas area of the border where Trump will be today." Jim Acosta said the Burger King is literally downhill from where we shot this, for the folks who are wondering why it shows up. Jim just went to a place where there is a border barrier and then talked about how there weren't any problems. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, this doesn't prove Wall's work. It does prove that Jim Acosta is not very bright. I'm not trying to be overly mean. Like you guys know when you watch my videos, I try not to insult people I try not to be that mean, but come on, Jim. Now listen. We don't know why there is or isn't an emergency with where this wall is. However, it is some evidence to suggest that a border barrier does create some kind of... It's obvious. It's a security measure. Just like you put a wall in front of your home in Beverly Hills to all those famous celebrities, there's a border barrier in McAllen, Texas. And thus what likely happens is, to a certain degree, it will deter people from trying to go through this area. But also keep in mind, I think it's fair to point out, one of the reasons why McAllen, Texas probably doesn't have as much border crossing is because, look, there's a Burger King right down the street, like he said. The border, the community lives very close to the border, and thus, it's just generally a bad area to want to try and go through in the first place. But here's where it gets good. Now, because Donald Trump has just dunked on Jim Acosta with a meme. Wow. Okay, but there's one other thing, too. I don't know if I have the video pulled up, but Jim Acosta actually talked to a woman in McAllen, Texas, and asked her if there was an emergency, and she says that everything's fine. All he keeps doing by going to this area with a wall is showing that the area with a wall is fine. What? You're not. You know what? Let's look at the memes. I got to rag on CNN, I really do, but let's take a look at the memes. So Donald Trump Jr. with the first swing at Jim Acosta. He says, "I don't see anything resembling a national emergency situation." And Donald Trump Jr. says, "Of course you don't, Jim. That's because walls work. Thanks for your help proving real Donald Trump's point and simultaneously creating one of the best self-own videos ever." Sounds like cell phone. Self-own. But I want to point something out. This is what I want to talk about with CNN. Why is Jim Acosta the opposition party? Why is he here to purposefully disprove Trump? Why is he getting into a flame war with the president's son? Journalists don't do this. Okay, they don't, right? Now, I fully recognize that Jim Acosta is a journalist second, okay? Just like over the past year or so, I have become journalist second. Now, a lot of people say, "Tim, you're a great journalist and all that," but come on, let's be real. I know, I do news and analysis for the most part, and I want to point something out just, in my own defense. When I used to do on-the-ground stuff, it was only once every 3 or 4 months, and that's why I started doing daily commentary. But I can recognize that, and I can say to you, listen, you're watching a channel from me about my opinions and my thoughts, and it's cultural issues and political issues. My main channel is a news analysis where I take like a news story and then I analyze it. And I am, yes, trying to build this van so we can do on-the-ground reporting, and I actually may have a huge announcement coming up soon because we're going to get back into the core journalism stuff, but just bear with me. The point I'm trying to make is, I can recognize that. I can say it. I have no problem. I have no problem saying that. Jim Acosta apparently is trying to act like a journalist. Then why are you debating the president's son? You only debate one side, okay? I got more to talk about CNN because there was a segment this morning, but it gets worse. Jim Acosta, my stars and garters, he says, "It's a little strange, Don. You guys seem to be saying the current measures in place are working. Does that mean your dad should reopen the government and get federal employees back to work? Bye-bye." God, Jim, no, stop! Jim Acosta is doing one of the greatest disservices to his side of the argument. And this is why I think the left should stop embracing Jim Acosta. He is making your side look foolish. I can argue the wall. I will, okay? But it gets Donald Trump Jr. comes back in and he says, I know this might be hard for you to comprehend, Jimbo, but the reason why all of Twitter has been mocking you today is because you were at a part of the border with a wall. So yes, of course it was working. Replicate that across the border and we'll all be safer. But wait! It gets so much better. Are you ready for this? Maybe you've seen it. Donald Trump himself, the President of the United States, quote tweeted Jim Acosta with "Dear Diary." What? And you know, there's going to be comments across the board of greatest timeline ever. Listen, I think this is hilarious. I really do. Because I gotta admit that I've over my life I've grown very resigned to the frigidness of politicians and they do what they want without us knowing, and I typically oppose the overarching executive authorities and stuff. And you know, this is not going to be a video where I criticize Trump in like almost every video I do about him, because I want to make sure it's like I'm not here to support this man. I don't support Obama. I wouldn't support Clinton. I wouldn't support Bush. I'm not going to support any of them. Sometimes some things they do are good, some things are bad. But this, by all objective measures, is hilarious. I recognize that Trump being the memer-in-chief isn't necessarily a good thing when... Come on, like, the leader of the United States needs to be like, you know, like a knight in shining armor. But I will admit, maybe the times have changed, and I will admit I laughed a lot when I saw this, and I facepalmed, and I was just... This is... Okay. Dear Diary it's a meme started about Jim Acosta because he's always talking about himself. Somebody quote tweeted him with Dear Diary, and it took off. And now Dear Diary is a meme because Jim Acosta, like, apparently goes places and then talks about himself. This is what Donald Trump... We've made it. We've made it from an internet meme mocking Acosta to the president himself. This is the craziest timeline ever. But now let's talk about the wall, okay? Because you know what really, really bothers me about CNN, the wall argument? First, this morning, not that long ago from when I'm filming this video, they had a Republican congressman on talking with, I don't know, what's the guy's name? I don't know the guy's name. It's Allison Cameron and the other guy. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I just don't remember his name. But this guy is arguing and debating with the Republican. And I'm on the treadmill and I'm like, wait a minute, I just realized something. When they have Democrats on, when they had David Hogg on, they don't debate. They just nod and smile and say, "You're so smart." And then the Republican comes on and they start yelling at it like, "No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. Oh, I'm like, wait, what? CNN really is the opposition party because they have Democrats on. I kid you not. And they're like, so what are you trying to do? Why does what you're doing make sense? That's so interesting. Then when the Republican comes on, they go, "You're wrong. You're wrong. And what you're saying doesn't make sense. You're lying. You're a liar." And I'm like, wait, hold on. That shows you something. That CNN is not doing journalism. They're not asking legitimate questions of both sides. Here's my question. Why is $5.7 billion for a wall egregious? Why is that wrong, and why is a wall immoral? I haven't gotten any answers from Democrats on what any of this means, okay? Trump comes out on TV. There's drugs, there's trafficking, there's violent criminals. Let's build a wall. And I go, maybe, I mean, I guess. I don't know the cost-benefit analysis for, doing that. How many criminals come across the border? How many people are dying due to the drugs coming illegally across the border at port of entry? But you know what? I don't know. I don't know those numbers. What I do know is it's true, right? There are traffickers. There are families taking these tremendous risks going through the desert and dying in the deserts of like Arizona, New Mexico, and on the journey. Women are being abused on the journey. And so I thought, maybe a wall would deter that. Okay, well, I've heard what Trump has to say. Democrats, how do you respond to this? Trump says a wall could prevent these things. They go, but other people commit more crime. And I'm like, what? Okay, but what about the criminals coming across the border? This is the inherent problem I'm facing as someone who's trying to hear out both sides in an objective way. And this pisses me off about Republicans. I do not like any of these tribes. On this CNN segment, the Republican said, the CNN guy says, American citizens commit crime at a higher rate than illegal immigrants. And the Republican says, those numbers are wrong, it's propaganda. And I'm like, what does that have to do with the wall? Seriously, okay, listen. If Americans are committing crimes, okay, let's stop that. If illegal immigrants are committing crimes, okay, let's stop that too. Now, the Republican did bring up that point. He said, just because some people are committing a crime over here doesn't mean we ignore the crime over here. And so CNN had a good question. Does that constitute a national emergency? And my response to that is, that's a good question. I don't know. It's an opinion. It is. If over the past 10 or 15 years there have been calls to repair border security, then maybe. Then maybe, okay? But the problem is the Democratic response almost always is immorality, orange man bad. And I say orange man bad, but no, it really is. They're like, Trump is pounding on the table and throwing a temper tantrum. And I'm like, I don't, dude, man, I swear to God, this stuff really, really pisses me off, okay? I am not here to support the wall. I'm here to hear cogent and rational arguments as to why it's either too expensive or won't provide enough security or why it will work. Trump has laid it out. Barriers work. Okay, that's true. We've seen examples. They work. Democrats, Trump pounded on the table through a temper tantrum. Okay, you know what? I'm done with this. Jim Acosta, CNN, they're just here to oppose Trump. They're not here to actually debate politicians and argue. And now that the Democrats have taken House of Congress, you'd think you could make the argument that they're challenging one side or the other, right? You can make the argument that, well, because Trump is in power, they're going to challenge him. Okay, well, the Democrats are in the House now. Challenge them too. Anyway, I'm basically going to try and start doing one video in the morning because a few reasons. You may have noticed I normally don't upload on my second channel at this time, but it actually gets me warmed up for my main channel because when I record my main channel videos, there's a lot of work that goes into it. It takes a lot longer to make those because of the research and because of the more formulated, it's not necessarily scripted, but I do plan out what I say. And so when I try to get warmed up doing it, it's actually a lot harder and there's a lot of stutters and editing. And I've noticed that when I actually do a dry run first, I can record easier. So I said, you know what, why don't I just do another video in the morning and then I'll have another video and it's a good warm up. So there you go. Expect more videos probably around 10 a.m. every day. And then for those that don't know, surprisingly a lot of people don't, this is not my main channel. This is my second channel, my opinion column. YouTube.com/Timcast at 4 p.m. is my main news analysis piece, which goes way more into depth, way less opinion, but still pretty opinionated. But anyway, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you at 4 later today.